Review Board refuses Sudbury's request for higher value assessments of local mining properties. So the Ontario Assessment Review Board has ordered that the City of Greater Sudbury must accept the lower value assessments for several large properties owned by local mining companies. So MPAC is kind of the company. It's a corporation. They do all the assessments in the province. So Vale, Xstrata, Glencore will not have to pay the higher property taxes the city had hoped.
Interesting.
I never even really thought about that before.
About mining companies paying taxes?
Paying property taxes.
To the places in which they do business?
I guess it makes sense.
Why should anyone need to pay taxes, right? So I think they're right. I think we should all be like Vale and Glencore and these companies and I don't think anyone should pay taxes.
Well, listen to this. So the Vale assessment includes this. 18 Rink Street, valued $63.5 million.
In Coppercliff, yeah.
In Coppercliff. That's a huge amount of money.
For taxes?
That's the value of the property. So
Sure.
they derive the taxes based on that.
Yeah, so they own Rink Street. Is that what we're saying here? Vale?
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
So $55 million is considered industrial and $7 million is commercial.
Oh, commercial, okay.
Because there's office, I guess.
Uh-huh.
And then the Meatbird Lake Valley property has a value of $3.4 million. And again, that's split mostly industrial with a little bit of commercial. So they got to pay, they must be paying a lot in property taxes already.
You think
Doesn't that kind of seem like a cash grab?
Oh, that's a good
by
point.
the city?
Okay.
Is there any truth to the idea that if your operation is underground, it doesn't qualify for being taxed, or it's got a different?
I don't know.
That's what I
Taxing?
heard. I heard any tax that is,
How do you charge for that?
comes from any of the mining companies is from the buildings that are on surface, not
That's
from
true.
any of the dealings that go on underneath the ground, kind of like underneath the desk, kind of thing. But it's underneath the ground.
Oh, something fell under the desk.
Cave in.
I understand that the city feels like they're being, cheated because other companies, if they have industrial or commercial buildings, will pay property tax.
Yeah. That's what I mean. I think maybe all the companies should just say, that's a great idea.
Let's just build them underground.
We should just not pay taxes just like Vale or Glencore.
Or have lower ones, yeah.
Lower, yeah, you know what I mean? Why don't we be taxed, instead of trying to tax them like other businesses and people in Sudbury, why don't we just all be taxed like Glencore and Vale kind of thing? Just go the other way.
Why don't we have a royalty system like some countries? They pull a pound of nickel out, and there's a certain royalty that goes to the public.
Yeah. Well, there are royalties going to entities, just not the public.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, everyone's getting a pound of flesh, but not the public.
Yeah, I believe there's some countries that actually had that system where it does go
public.
It does go to the public purse somehow.
Cool.
Of course, corruption can be an issue.
Good thing we don't have that in Canada.
I don't much think about those things, to be honest. When you buy a Subway sandwich, you're already paying 13%
tax
as a value-added tax.
Mm-hmm.
Subway pays tax on the items they buy.
Yes.
But they get those back.
Yes.
So they're deducted.
Yep.
But people like us, we can't deduct.
Because we're not a business.
Because we're considered like the consumer,
Correct.
the end consumer.
Yeah.
So interesting. This is kind of a real estate insight, but these buildings, like in Coppercliff, the millions of dollars, they can depreciate the buildings. This is more of an accounting thing.
No, this is the thing. They get the benefits out of owning the properties, but they don't pay the taxes. Correct.
Like they can deduct the taxes that they pay from their business.
Anyways, exactly.
Whereas, as a person,
yeah,
if you buy a house, and this is another thing, compared to our next door neighbor, United States, they can actually deduct the interest payments on their mortgage from their income tax.
Yeah.
Because it's considered like an expense, I guess,
Yeah.
for you living.
Mm-hmm.
You can't deduct a rent payment. So in a way, they're kind of subsidizing home ownership in that way. You can, argue for or against it. But the point is a company gets to deduct the tax that they pay.
For sure.
And
I wonder how many people watching or listening to this feel that the mining companies should pay their fair share of taxes. I just wonder, how many people feel that way.
I'm sure they do.
Then you'd have to get all the information in which we're trying to grasp at straws because we don't have the information really.
Yeah.
We can speculate a lot of things, but should they, at the end of the day, pay taxes just like any other business, or are they in another category of business? Like an exempt somehow, or partially exempt. They are partially exempt, as we can see. They're not going to pay the taxes that the city wanted to pay. So the city they're doing business in says, hey, and they say, no thanks. So if you said, no thanks, I don't think I need to pay my tax or these taxes that you're proposing.
Or you can complain to some higher entity and they can protect you.
Maybe that's the case too, in which we don't understand how all of that works. And again, I don't think it's all as transparent as it could be.
Sure.
For us to even ascertain that type of information and be able to really make an educated comment on that. It's really layered in a lot of government and business and policies. So, but at the end of the day, that's why I just put it out there. Do you think that Vale and Glencore and companies like them should just pay taxes and just go through just like any other business and then be exempt? Go get the money back like any other business, like Subway, like you just mentioned, and then just keep it simple instead of being in another
kind of
category.
Going all their own.
Yeah.
And also, this isn't a news story, so, you can stop me if I'm going too far with this, but it kind of bothers me that if I let my house, become dilapidated and ugly, that would hurt my neighbors around me.
Oh, yeah, and it would hurt you, too.
It would hurt me, and it would hurt my neighbors around me.
The value would go down for you, too, and your neighbors, yeah.
Yeah. But, the mining companies do that all the time.
They can just build a building that's...
if there's a shale, deposit 300 meters from my house, that obviously lowers the value of my house.
Correct. If they're going to do, some industrial...
But that's totally fine.
Yep.
That's an interesting kind of thing. So industrial is... we live in an industrial city. I grant you that.
For sure.
And buying the house, in advance that that's part and parcel of it. But I just wonder... if we were to open a new mine or open a new landfill, let's say, down the street from your house, are you entitled to damages because of that?
Exactly.
Anyways.
So, Billy, do you think mining companies should pay their fair share of taxes, or do you feel they should be exempt for a particular reason?
Well, you bring up a good point, is that we don't really see the access to the data of what they actually pay, what the ratio is.
Exactly.
So I'm always more and more leaning to the idea of a flat tax kind of system where people just that way it's pretty straight. There's no you can't juggle things around and sort of manipulate the system. Here's this number, you pay this, and it's ideally I think it would be a much kind of lower a more equitable system, because you're not going to have, I think a lot of the people think that, the rich are going to
get richer.
Pay a lot less tax that way.
Yeah.
But I think they'll actually pay more, because I think in a lot of cases, the super wealthy part of that is actually kind of loopholing their way around the system. Right?
For sure. Yeah, loopholes are always a problem.
So let's say there's a 5% tax, and it's just, it's a fixed tax.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a billionaire...
Even 10 is acceptable to me.
10, I use 5 for a reason, but we'll use 10. I'm used to a 10% tax kind of thing. So let's say it's 10. And so for a billionaire who has to pay 10%, that's a lot of money, right? You really have to look at it that way. And to somebody who's on a fixed income, very low, and they have to pay 10%, it stings just the same for everybody. kind of thing. And it is fair in a lot of ways, and there's a lot less wiggle room to get, to be corrupt in a system like that, because it's pretty straightforward. There's not, well, yeah, but this, yeah, but that. No, it's just 10%. It is what it is. You can't get around it.
Yeah, it probably leads to more transparency in the system too, like where the money goes and.
Yeah.
Sure.
So yeah, there's a really good argument to be said for that. So we don't have enough information to know whether or not, the big mining giants that operate in Sudbury should be paying their fair share of taxes, or if there's a reason why they can I pay lower taxes. But yeah, it's very interesting. And but at the end of the day, I think people want it to be as fair as possible. They want them to at least pay something that's fair, right?
Mm-hmm.
I read once that Vale, the Sudbury branch of Vale, is the least profitable of all of Vale's mines.
Oh no, that's not good in some ways for Sudbury.
Like their profit margin is the lowest.
Yeah, because of the expenses.
It's just crazy.
And I think labor is a big part of that, possibly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right, compared to Brazil.
Correct.
Or any other country. They operate in many countries.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting,
Big.
like imagine if suddenly the mine was unprofitable for some reason.
Well, guess what would happen?
That would not be that great.
No.
Good
thing we have like a millennia supply of
nickel
and copper and all kinds of
precious
precious metals underneath our feet. So this is where it is, whether it's expensive or not. This is where it exists, and a good chunk of the world's resources are here. Hey, AJ here. Did you like that video? Please like and subscribe for more just like it every weekday.
Share it with your friends so they can stay up to date with all Sudbury news.